Coming up on Carolina News, Healthcare Mania, the differences in health insurance that you need to know before you enroll. Going green, find out how one mechanic is trying to reduce his carbon footprint. And
my name is Patel.
Mini Michelle, the former First Lady, has a not-so-secret admirer.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Sabrina Shetters.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emily Riley. There have been severe thunderstorms rolling across the Midlands this afternoon, bringing heavy rain and gusty winds.
And it looks like the nasty weather will continue into the evening. We go to Nick Proto in the Weather Center for the latest.
Thanks, Sabrina and Emily. As you guys can see here, we do have some pretty severe weather coming through Columbia right now. This is a time lapse of the past couple hours and the next few hours. You see some heavy rainfalls coming right through the middle of our city. Luckily, though, it is about to blow right over. So if you guys have any Friday night plans outside, you shouldn't have any problem with that. And we are looking at some beautiful weather for this upcoming weekend. I'll have the full forecast later on in the show. Back to you at the news desk.
It's that time of year again, open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act. But the 2017 Republican tax bill killed the ACA's individual mandate requiring health insurance. Carolina News reporter Grace McKenna found out if that's going to change anything for insurance customers in South Carolina.
For Sean Skillman, this year's open enrollment is business as usual.
We never really believed that the individual mandate mattered to our customers. We always thought that people wanted to buy health insurance because they wanted health insurance. I don't think people bought it because they were going to get a fine or a penalty.
For people purchasing insurance, open enrollment has already started and lasts until December 15th. It couldn't be easier to sign up for your health care plan for the year. You can come by one of Blue Cross Blue Shield's retail stores, but they even have a simpler option. You can also purchase plans online at southcarolinablues.com. Just make sure you buy before the deadline.
Do not wait. Do not wait. Go ahead and sign up.
While many Americans receive health insurance through their jobs, that isn't an option for everyone.
My husband's employer does not offer insurance, and I'm a stay-at-home mom now, so the insurance we had with my employer we don't have, so we sought out Blue Cross and have been very happy.
For people like Ramona Patterson, Blue Cross Blue Shield is the way to go. And in Patterson's home, BCBS is a family affair.
My mom referred us to them because after she retired, she got with Blue Cross and has been with them for probably about 10 years now.
BCBS has different plans to fit everyone's needs, and Skillman wants to see you in the store to find out what's right for you. In Columbia, Grace McKenna, Carolina News.
Don't forget, open enrollment ends December 15th. So, if you plan to purchase health insurance through Blue Cross Blue Shield, visit southcarolinablues.com or healthcare.gov for more information.
Light the Night's main event was at the State House last night. It was hosted by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society with a goal of raising money and awareness on this disease. The organization is trying to reach their goal of $3,000 with this event. Since there's a rate of 176,000 cases each year, the money they raise goes towards research and treatments like stem cell transplants, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and targeted therapy. A Richland County woman is in custody after deputies say she forced her 8-year-old sister's hand under hot water, causing second and third degree burns. 23-year-old Talisha Faizan is the child's caregiver and held the girl's hands under hot water as a form of punishment for bad behavior. To hide the burns, Faizan kept the child out of school for 10 days without medical care. When she returned to school, the staff noticed the burns and notified the school's resource officer and Department of Social Services. Faizan has been charged with unlawful conduct towards a child and was booked at the Richland County Detention Center.
The last victim of the synagogue shooting was buried this morning. Reporter Sky Deidelbaum went out to the Shabbat Center for Jewish Life to take a look at how our community begins to heal following the hate crimes in Pittsburgh.
With the Pittsburgh shooting and the vandalism of the Brooklyn Temple in New York yesterday, people in the Jewish community are on high alert with these terrifying crimes. Here in Columbia at the Chabad Center, one of Rabbi Hesh Epstein's members has relatives who go to the Pittsburgh synagogue. But with all the tragedy, Rabbi Epstein sees something good that can come out of all of this hate.
An outpouring of Jewish pride. I think there's, and also from the non-Jewish community, a tremendous amount of support. I just recently received a note from somebody in Charleston who is planning to have a statement on anti-Semitism put out in the next few days. He's not Jewish, but he wants to stand up for the Jewish community. And so I think we'll see that kind of thing happening over the next few weeks.
Students in Jewish communities on college campuses are seeing similar actions of kindness.
I've seen like a ton of posts from people who aren't Jewish, like writing like about anti-Semitism on Facebook and just coming together to like make the world a little better.
On top of this, in the long term, people just want to see change so that no one has to live in fear.
Kind of divisive things that we've been hearing over the last few years will maybe change politically. Instead of blaming other people, we'll start taking responsibility for ourselves. I think that there are two types of societies. One in which when things go wrong, we look around for somebody to blame and we don't look at changing ourselves. And another type of society in which we ask, what can we learn from this experience and how can we grow?
The Chabad Center will have a ceremony this Saturday with diverse communities of faith as a sign of solidarity for the people of Pittsburgh. A symbol of how a community can truly rise up from adversity.
At 9:45 a.m. last Saturday, Jews had to run out of the synagogue in fear. So this Saturday at 9:45, we want everybody to come to synagogue proudly and fearlessly.
From this tragedy, the Jewish community hopes that people from all backgrounds can come together to move forward. For Carolina News, I'm Sky Deidelbaum.
This evening, there will be a gathering downtown at the Chabad House for Friday night dinner and a candle lighting with the mayor. Rabbi Hesh Epstein said the mayor is working on creating a task force for people to come together to address things like anti-Semitism and prejudice. The New York City Marathon is this weekend and security is tight. NYPD started planning early for the race with the Boston Marathon bombing and the terror rampage in mind. This comes just as the Boston Marathon bomber's friend was deported back to Kazakhstan on October 26th. About 51,000 runners are expected at this year's race, and the NYPD plans on keeping each of them safe. Police Commissioner James O'Neill assures officers will be working around the clock.
There were no specific or credible threats to New York City this week, and nothing directed towards the events surrounding the marathon. As usual, however, our uniformed presence will be quite evident.
Trucks will be blocking intersections to prevent anyone from driving onto the course.
The College of Charleston softball team is in trouble after a controversial costume was posted on Twitter. A few members of the team dressed as Hispanics while others dressed as Border Patrol officers. The school said it was a part of an informal contest. Many students believe that the picture should never have been posted.
I just think that it's incredibly inappropriate and tone deaf, especially in the political climate that we're in right now.
The picture has since been deleted and the softball team issued an apology and will have to undergo diversity and inclusion training.
Diners in Florence got a special surprise with their breakfast. An anonymous person paid for the meals of every customer in the restaurant.
And with each paid meal, the person left a card that said, "Please accept this random act of kindness in honor of Farrah Turner and Terrence Caraway." Turner and Caraway were killed in the October 3rd shooting of police officers in Florence. One customer is holding on to his card so that he could pay it forward the next time he goes out to eat. The Gamecock women's basketball team kicks off their season with a home opener tonight at 7.
Carolina News reporter Cleopatra Shabazz spoke to Coach Dawn Staley about the team's past success.
You miss 100% of the shots you never take. So when the Gamecocks offered Dawn Staley a shot at coaching the women's basketball team, she took it.
I just thought that South Carolina would give me all the ingredients to win a national championship.
Coach Staley used those ingredients to whip up a recipe for success. But success did not happen overnight.
Colonial Life Arena is the home of South Carolina basketball. But 11 years ago, the women's basketball team was a diamond in the rough. Coach Staley became the official head coach in 2008, and she immediately saw potential.
But like any journey in life, it takes time to get from point A to point B.
Well, I think Coach Staley was an underdog early on in her career here because they didn't have the kind of talent they needed to win the national championship.
The Gamecocks needed talented and motivated players to win a championship.
Senior year, we made it to the Sweet 16 and had probably one of the best years our senior year.
The 2011-2012 season was a turning point for the Gamecocks when they made their first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament.
As we got kids in here that had a great balance of wanting a pro career and loving basketball, things start turning around.
After 5 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances, the Gamecocks won their first national championship.
I come from a place where you have to beat the odds, no matter what you're doing in life.
Colonial Life Arena is always packed during a women's basketball game.
Last 4 years they've led the nation in attendance, and I expect that to continue this year.
But Coach Staley never really noticed when the seats used to be empty.
I really didn't care how many people were in the stands at that moment. I was more concerned with turning the program around.
Coach Staley went beyond turning the program around. She changed the culture of women's basketball.
I think Coach Staley is a brilliant teacher and a great role model and somebody that you'd want your daughter to play for.
And her 11-year journey at South Carolina is far from over.
This city, this state, deserves more success stories.
For Carolina News, I'm Cleopatra Shabazz.
Our sports anchor Anjali Patel will have more on tonight's first game and the upcoming season later in the show.
Well, coming up next on Carolina News, the government is encouraging people to go green. We took a look at how one business took advantage of the tax break and went solar. Find out more after the break. Welcome back to Carolina News. Renewable energy like wind and solar make up about 20% of the electricity mix today. Experts are saying that the percentage needs to increase to 67% by 2050 to maintain a stable environment. Reporter Katie Ann Goodell tells us how 2 companies are working together to save their wallets and the environment.
Drilling for oil. Now, somewhere west of Pecos lives a kid named...
Burning fossil fuels is a thing of the past, while renewable energy is lighting the future.
There's a huge energy shift. We're going from oil and coal to solar and wind. So a lot of people may not like that, but whether they like it or not, it's coming because the government's starting to mandate it, and I know people hate when the government mandates stuff.
Robert Clyott is the co-owner of United Solar in Columbia, and he says helping the environment is not the first thought for people when they go solar.
That is not primarily the reason most people do it. At the end of the day, most people are going to do it because of their pocketbook.
Electricity production generates the second largest share of greenhouse gas emissions. About 68% of our electricity comes from fossil fuels like coal and natural gas. To encourage people to go solar, the government offers tax breaks on those who make the switch, which is exactly what Wayne Brown did recently. Wayne Brown is the owner of Automotive Experts in West Columbia, and he took advantage of the tax break.
Right, really that's a pretty big advantage of going green. That and getting the $0 or close to $0 light bills, makes a pretty good bonus.
So how does solar energy really work?
The DC power created by these solar panels from the sun, switch turns it in, goes to the inverter, and the inverter turns it into AC power, and then that is what's filtered out throughout the facility, so you can run on strictly solar power, clean energy from the environment, as opposed to running off of coal from the utility company, which dirties the environment.
So whenever you're having sunshiny days, what the solar panels will do is take some energy and store them in battery backups, which come in handy on days like today when it's cloudy and you don't have enough sun to generate a lot of solar power. Whether you want solar panels to help the environment or looking to cut utility costs, you can't go wrong with renewable energy. For Carolina News, Katie Ann Goodell.
United Solar and Automotive Experts are leading by example in solar energy. South Carolina regulators began hearing weeks of testimony over where to set electric rates for South Carolina electric and gas customers after the failed construction of 2 nuclear reactors. SCE&G lead lawyers said the actions that lead them there were not the only fault of SCE&G.
Once our contractor filed bankruptcy and our partner quit, the company had no choice but to abandon the project.
The rate hearings before the Public Service Commission began yesterday and are expected to last weeks.
2 Goldman Sachs bankers and a financier have been indicted on criminal charges. They were accused of conspiring to launder money embezzled from a Malaysian investment fund. The scandal is known as the 1MDB. One of the bankers has pleaded guilty to conspiring to launder money and violate anti-bribery laws. Another has been arrested in Malaysia, and the third accused was last seen in China but remains at large. The Department of Labor released a new report on the unemployment rate. As of October, there are 250,000 new jobs in the U.S. Wages also went up 3.1%. But the unemployment rate is still at 3.7%, which is a 49-year low for the U.S. More voters are headed to the polls early in this year's midterm elections. In a Washington Post report, early and absentee voting totals have surpassed amounts from 2014 in at least 17 states. That data is from the United States Elections Project, which is led by a University of Florida political science professor. It's uncertain if the momentum will continue through Election Day. However, some experts say that given the boost in early voter participation, there may also be a higher overall turnout. But that remains to be seen. With only 4 days until Election Day, time is running out to cast your early vote.
Edward Gomeau has been appointed to be the interim administrator of Richland County. He has a history in financial management and local government administration, and he has served more than 40 years as a public servant. County Council Chair Joyce Dickerson said in a statement, "As we continue the search for a permanent administrator, we look forward to working with Mr. Gomeau during his time of transition. Richland County has many opportunities ahead, and we are hopeful of Mr. Gomeau's experience and leadership will benefit this organization and those we serve." The former administrator of Richland County has fired for apparently sleeping on the job, and the county agreed to a nearly $1 million settlement that he filed after he was fired. The council plans on formally announcing Gomeau at the next county council meeting on November 19th. Create-a-thon at USC began today and will last 24 hours. The next day will be a marathon of creativity where marketing and communication students will work in separate teams to create marketing plans for nonprofits. Students have been signed in and are currently working to enhance nonprofits' missions.
So the journalism school really benefits from this, both from the exposure that we get and just the benefits of donating to nonprofits.
The nonprofits are all businesses that cannot afford a proper communications team. This year, there are 9 nonprofits from all over South Carolina.
Jerry Richardson, the former owner of the Carolina Panthers, gave the International African American Museum in Charleston $5 million. The museum released that Richardson and his wife, Rosalind, have made the largest donation for the museum so far, which is scheduled to open in 2020. The museum site is located at the former Gadsden Wharf, where tens of thousands of enslaved Africans first entered America. While there is controversy that surrounds Richardson, the museum organizers are focusing on the benefit the donation will give to the museum. Today is the last day of Dia de los Muertos, but the festivities have just begun. Carolina News reporter Kyle O'Connor has more on how some members of Columbia's Hispanic community are honoring the dead.
Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, a name that might send a shiver down your spine, but to the Hispanic community, it's a name that can bring smiles.
It's a Memorial Day. It's like reliving history.
Vanessa Mota is the director of the South Carolina Latina Project, and she said that this holiday is less about the skeletons and spirits and more about remembering what a person loved in life.
If someone liked playing dominoes and having, tea or coffee, then that's what you would do. You would sit there and celebrate this person with the things that they enjoy doing.
The TAPS Art Center on Main Street and Palmetto Luna are hosting an art exhibit to showcase the colorful take on death that this festival brings. For them, death is a natural part of life, and celebrating the dead is an extension of life. Mike Young is a poet commissioned by Palmetto Luna to take this idea of remembering past loved ones and give it new life.
These are small vignettes of particular individuals who have passed on and ways to remember them. This is exactly what I remember about my grandfather, being shirtless and tired in a hammock, and thinking back on the presence that he had.
Young's words are just one way the Hispanic community is celebrating the Day of the Dead.
This shrine here in 5 Points was set up by Palmetto Luna to commemorate those that have passed on.
Shrines like these are a slice of Mexican culture here in Colombia and are an integral part of the Dia de los Muertos celebrations. Cultural celebrations like these aren't always appreciated by everyone, and with immigration being a topic of debate right now, embracing heritage might be the best way to change perspectives.
I've had children come up to me and ask me, do Mexican people have the same color blood as we do? But they're children. They don't mean anything bad by it. They're children. This is why it's our job to educate.
In a world that's constantly moving forward, it can take a day for the dead to really appreciate the living. For Carolina News, Kyle O'Connor.
Dia de los Muertos may have been the last 3 days, but it's not too late to join the fun. A Dia de los Muertos celebration will take place tomorrow evening from 5 to 8 at the 5 Points Fountain. And still to come on Carolina News, floods put Venice further underwater, and Nick Proto is back to give us a full weekend forecast next.
Welcome back to Carolina News. In Italy, where violent storms, small tornadoes, and hurricane-force winds have lashed the country, at least 11 people have died. Much of Venice is underwater after ferocious winds drove the high tide to flood historic areas like St. Mark's Basilica. Crews worked to clean up the famous church after water flooded it on Tuesday. The rainfall for Venice was more than 1.5 meters above average this week. That's the highest level recorded in more than a decade. Well, we've had a lot of rain and winds, so we're going to have Nick tell us more about the weather.
Yeah, we do have some rain going on right now. Luckily, though, hopefully not going to last too much longer. As the great Roscoe Dash once said, rain, rain, go away, and tonight it will listen. We are going to have some rain coming through right now, as you can see, but that is expected to pass right through. So if you guys have any Friday night activities going on outside, shouldn't be a problem. But let's take a look at what else is going on right now in Columbia. So currently, we've got those thunderstorms, temperature in there at about 71 degrees, humidity up at 82 in case you couldn't tell because it's pouring outside, and the winds are going southwest at 10 miles per hour. As we take a look at the rest of the state, you see Columbia here, as I said, at 71. Gets a little warmer down there at the coast, Hilton Head, Charleston, Myrtle Beach area, kind of into the mid-70s. And then as we head up to towards the upstate Rock Hill area, it gets down into the mid-60s. Looking ahead towards tonight's lows, you see we're on in the mid-40s to high 40s throughout Columbia right now, and then it gets a little bit cooler as we head to the upstate, 42, 43, and again, the low 50s up along the coast. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's highs. So we've got pretty uniform temperatures going on throughout the state. Not too much disparity as you see. Lower 60s into mid 60s up in the upstate, kind of in the middle of the pack here in the Midlands. And then as we head down towards the coast, just a little bit warmer, but it is going to be in the mid 60s for everybody. And then as we look ahead to our 5-day forecast, as you can see, tomorrow we are going to have some beautiful weather, sunny and in the mid 60s. Kind of going to be a beautiful weekend all around. You see partly cloudy here on Sunday. And then as we head toward next week now, we are going to get to that bad weather. Monday and Tuesday, we are expected to see some rain, some thunderstorms on Tuesday. Those are going to be more at night, whereas Monday showers are going to be a little bit more in the morning. And then it's expected to clear up and be nice on Wednesday again. So we are looking kind of at a rough start to next week, but it should calm down and be good going into the later part of it.
Thankfully, we'll have a nice weekend, be able to hang out, not sit in class.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, sports is next on Carolina News. Gamecock women's basketball tips off tonight, and find out how getting tickets for you and your friends this season is going to be a little bit different.
Welcome back to Carolina News. We've got Anjali Patel here for sports.
Yeah, Anjali, the men's team tipped off last week. Tell us what those Lady Gamecocks are bringing us this weekend.
Well, let's hope the next championship run starts now, guys. Gamecock women's basketball is finally back, and Coach Dawn Staley is starting her 11th season as head coach. The women's basketball team has its first exhibition game tonight against Lander at 7 p.m. at Colonial Life Arena. And admission is free. If you're a student, you can now claim tickets for men's and women's basketball games in November through the free Student Rewards app. And here's something new. If you plan on bringing a guest, you can now even buy guest tickets for all basketball and baseball games through the app. Moving on to the NBA, the surging Boston Celtics took on the undefeated Milwaukee Bucks last night. Boston put up a total of 24 threes, a new franchise record, and just one short of the NBA record. 6 of those threes came from Kyrie Irving, and it was just too easy. He led Boston with a whopping 28 points. But it wasn't just the Kyrie show. Everyone got a share in the victory, with Al Horford knocking down 4 threes and Gordon Hayward scoring a season-high 18 points. Undefeated no longer, the Bucks fell to the Celtics 113-117. Another team that's on a hot streak, the Sacramento Kings, faced the Atlanta Hawks last night. Perhaps things are finally looking up for the Kings as the team picked up its 5th straight win. Buddy Hield with a nice fadeaway 3 ended up with 27 points, and his buddy in the backcourt, De'Aaron Fox, got his first triple-double. Atlanta rookie Trae Young got his first double-double, but it just wasn't enough. The Kings put up 146 points, burying the Hawks and improving to a surprising 6-3. Now to California for the Battle of the Bay. Last night, the San Francisco 49ers took on the Oakland Raiders at home. 49ers rookie quarterback Nick Mullins, an undrafted free agent, filled in for an injured C.J. Beathard. On his first drive, Mullins threw to a wide-open Pierre Garçon for his first NFL touchdown. Mullins' debut was practically flawless. He threw for 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions for a passer rating of 151.9. The 49ers won 34-3, snapping their 6-game losing streak. Well, it seems that beer cans are what rained on the Boston Red Sox championship parade on Wednesday. Fans were hurling beer cans, a stray one hitting and damaging the prize trophy, and another can hitting club manager Alex Cora. Police arrested 19-year-old Patrick Connolly, who allegedly told police, "I love Cora. I didn't mean to hit him." Connolly's college roommate tried to explain.
There was a lot of people throwing beer cans, some of them empty, some of them full. Players were cheering them on, throwing me a beer. Players were throwing beers back here and there.
I mean, the trophy's damaged and 6 people were injured. Do you think these celebrations can get a little too rowdy?
Maybe, but I think they deserve it.
I mean, yeah, they're just really passionate about their team, I guess. I don't know.
Still more to come on Carolina News. One little girl has a love for a former First Lady. Even as a guest on Ellen, Miss Obama's image on the set blew her away.
Finally tonight on Carolina News, meet Mini Michelle Obama. But for Halloween, she ended up being Michelle Obama after she fell in love with her portrait. The former First Lady even tweeted her approval of her outfit. I mean, that is just so cute and adorable.
I want to get to a point in life where someone's like, I want to be him for Halloween. That is my life.
No one's going to want to be you.
Oh,
that's cute, but the weather we've got outside sure isn't. Nick, what do you have for us?
Unfortunately not. The weather is pretty brutal right now. We are looking at better weather this weekend. Sunny on Saturday and Sunday, but then it's going to start raining again next week. Monday and Tuesday, we're looking at some showers, and Tuesday we're actually getting some thunderstorms late night, but don't let that stop you from getting out there and voting. Election season is upon us. Be the change you want to see in the world. Go vote on Election Day. And then Wednesday, it'll start to get sunny again with a high of 74 and a low of 48. So we are starting to see a little bit cooler temperatures as we start to approach kind of mid-November right now. It is going to get a little bit cooler. So that's our weather for the next week or so.
More thunderstorms next week.
Unfortunately, nothing to the extent that we've had the past few months or whatever, but it is going to get a little bit rainy as we head into next week.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I am over the rain here in Columbia.
Me too. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for being with us.
See you tomorrow. Have a great evening.